We are still on tap to see severe storms across the Great Lakes region come on Tuesday, but there's still some variables at play with regards to the energy we will have in the low levels as well as the moisture content that we will have in the atmosphere as well. Those will have an impact on how many storms develop and also the timing and location. In this video, we're going to look at all those variables, compare some of the models, and then also discuss the possible hazards we could see with this upcoming event. 4:17 p.m. and it is February 25th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. Hopefully everybody's doing well today, and we might see another site like this in portions of the Great Lakes region come Tuesday, Tuesday morning into Tuesday, even also on Tuesday afternoon. There's a couple models that are hinting at a few thunderstorms developing Tuesday morning that might produce a little bit of hail. We'll look at that in just a minute, but Tuesday afternoon also is the primary focus of the upcoming outlook from the SPC, which you can see right here, right now. This is the Day 3 Severe Thunderstorm Outlook from the SPC. You can access this website yourself, spc.noaa.gov, but you can see there's a slight risk area for severe weather focused across portions of southeastern Missouri all the way up towards southwest lower Michigan. Not too common for February, I will say that, but the slight risk does extend in this area. It's going to be associated with that cold front that makes its way through Tuesday afternoon, and also with favorable wind dynamics, with also the possibility of some favorable moisture content in the atmosphere as well. We could be looking at some severe weather, particularly centralized across portions of western Indiana, eastern Illinois. That's going to be my target area for severe weather come Tuesday afternoon when I go out and chase this event, which is definitely going to happen at this point. So again, slight risk for severe weather. Things we're going to be watching. There might be the possibility of a potential upgrade here in eastern Illinois, western Indiana, and we'll look at the variables with regards to how that's going to form. But again, slight risk right now, might maintain a slight risk for another day. We'll see exactly what goes on. But we're getting the better models now. Okay, we're starting to see more of the closer range models start to bring to light some things that could possibly occur. So we're going to compare some of the models, get an idea of what we could see with regards to this potential setup. So here's the breakdown from the Euro. First of all, Euro has been really sticking to its guns with regards to this setup. So we're going to kind of look at that first. So we're going to back it up to the current time frame we are at right now. Okay, Sunday, and we're getting into Monday. Nothing going to happen up until the point we get to Tuesday morning. Now you can see that there might be a few thunderstorms popping up across portions of Michigan on Tuesday morning as that warm air begins to make its way in. And also, if you take a look at the upper levels with this, or the wind shear that's out there, you get a sounding out ahead of this. One thing that's really playing into the setup for storms there is that there is going to be a push of possibly wind in the lower levels and then all the way up towards the upper levels of the atmosphere. So that push might initiate the development of some storms despite not much instability. There might be some instability in the mixed layer, and then there could be some more instability in the upper levels. So there'll be some elevated storms that could produce maybe some small hail. That'll be something to watch out for. Elevated storm development on Tuesday morning. Let's go back to the loop, and as we continue forward, you can kind of see what's going to happen as we get into the afternoon. You see this low pressure system beginning to get its way up to the north. The Euro does play it quite a bit farther north. It might actually, you might see the center of this low sag a little bit to the south here. This is just showing where the models are depicting the center of the low to be. But as it progresses forward, you can see, notice here that there's not too much in Illinois by the time we get to roughly, I'd say, 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central Time. So that would be 2 p.m. Central Time in Illinois. Nothing going on out here, but as we go forward the next 3 hours, you see there are several cells that develop across portions of north central Illinois. You get a sounding out near these storms. You got a marginal tornado possible hazard type showing up here, but the instability values are ranging around 500. In the mixed layer, you got CAPE values of around 1,000. So you've got some instability in the atmosphere. It doesn't look like the capping inversion is going to be an issue. According to what the Euro is depicting here, you got SRH values between 150 and 250, enough to produce enough spin in the atmosphere for possibly some hail, maybe even a possibility of a spin-up tornado. So that's the thing we're watching here. One thing that is in question with this setup is the low-level jet and where that is going to make its way into by the time these storms begin to develop, because that low-level jet will drive much of the tornado potential with these storms. If we do not have that low-level jet, we may see more of a hail threat with these, so that's just something to keep in mind. We'll look at that in just a minute. But as we progress forward over the next 3 hours, this is around I'd say 9 p.m., you see that the storms are making their way into southern lower Michigan and also northwest Indiana. Storms will likely be following throughout the evening as they make their way through. You get a sounding out ahead of them. You have that severe possible hazard type. Cape values are starting to go down. You still have that elevated cloud base. It is showing more of an elevated storm setup, but you do have more lift and a lot more push with this next low-level jet that's making its way through. The low-level jet will probably arrive and start to become stronger as we get later on at that time point. But you can see good directional and speed shear. Elevated cloud bases maybe look like a possible hail and damaging wind event with the storms that make their way through. Steep lapse rates that are present with this as well. A little bit of curvature in the photograph, but again, there will be thunderstorms. I'm pretty certain of that by the time we get to Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. The question is now is how strong is it going to be? So as you progress it forward, you can see those storms will kind of develop, pop up, and may become severe across portions of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio as they progress throughout the overnight hours. By the time we get to 7 a.m. Wednesday, you see that there's showers and thunderstorms ongoing across Ohio. The threat for severe weather across Ohio is in question. I don't really know if these storms will really be that strong by the time they reach Ohio. You still have that marginal severe sounding. You do have the storm relative felicity values that spin in around 200 to 300, and you still have a little bit of instability out there. So still possible these storms could be on the stronger side as they reach Ohio, and then they will begin to weaken as they move farther to the east with cooler air on the side. And it doesn't look like the snow is going to really develop afterwards like the previous models were showing. You can see there's not much snow. The snow that moves through with this system, associated with this system, I really don't think it's going to really stick too much. Won't really get too much accumulation from the snow that moves through, mainly because, again, you have warm temperatures in the upper 60s prior to the arrival of this storm system, and then as that snow begins to fall, it's not really going to stick too well to warm ground. So that's going to be something that remains in question at this point. And then I'm just going to point this out at the long range. We're seeing another system that is starting to develop for March 4th. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because that's still 192 hours out, still a good distance away, but something to watch out for, that next system that may bring severe weather out to the plains. I don't know if it's going to necessarily impact Michigan nearly as much, but it's always something just to keep in mind and keep watch out for. So let's take a look more specifically at how the winds around this low are going to play out. So as we go to Tuesday morning at around, I'd say not 7 a.m., but 4 a.m., okay, you can see that there is a push of possibly some low-level winds out farther to the east of this low, and that could drive a little bit more convective development with some of the storms that make their way in. You can still see marginal severe sounding that morning. The strength of these storms probably not going to be on the strongest, given the fact that there is minimal cape, but still just something to keep in mind. If storms do pop up, they might have a little bit of energy to work off of with that. And by the time we get to Tuesday afternoon, you can really see that the low-level energy, the low-level jet that is expected to bring about this severe activity, not really showing up too well on the Euro model. Okay, so that's something that is remaining in question, if that low-level jet's going to make its way up fast enough to further instigate more stronger storm development earlier in the day. But by the time we get to 4 p.m., you can still see not really too strong, but then you get to around 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Central Time, you start to see that low-level jet make its way in, and storms might initiate right along that boundary that make their way through the region. So that's what's in question now. How much energy will these storms have to work with early on, and also how much instability will this have to work with as well? Let's get a quick model comparison of 0Z, and so we can get an idea of what the different models are saying with regards to the push of that low-level energy that could be coming with this. So compare models here real quick. You can see here, this is still the Euro model. Compare it to the CFS, still kind of following similar suit. Now, other models are depicting a further push north earlier on. Okay, so that push further north earlier on would play a key role in the strength of these storms that develop. So the NAM3K kind of showing that further northward push. Also, RDPS. Again, eastern Illinois is kind of along that boundary right there. It's kind of pushing further in towards portions of Indiana, according to the RDPS. RFSA brings it much farther to the north, in portions of northern Indiana, even getting into northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. So again, RFS really playing out a much faster push of this low-level wind this low-level wind making its way into that region. So that's in question. Another thing in question is how much moisture is going to be in the atmosphere during this time. So we're going to take a quick look at that. Again, that push of moisture will come along with this as well. You can see that the moisture really not going to be a problem according to the Euro model. So that's kind of what's being shown at 6 p.m. roughly. Some models are really playing it somewhat differently. The NAM shows some dry air on the backside of central Illinois, and then the RDPS kind of showing, you can see there's some variabilities there. I'm not really going to go into too much detail with those, but you can see that there is still some question. The more moisture we have and the more low-level energy that develops with this is going to have a key role in the development of these systems. So that's just something that we're watching out for in particular at this time. Now, one thing that's going to be very active with this setup, and I think probably has a lot to do with the lift that we're going to have with these storms, is the lightning. Okay, there's probably going to be some lightning with these storms as they make their way through. As we get into the dark hours, you'll start to see some pretty good lightning, hopefully, and some strikes to the ground. So that's, again, clearly there's going to be thunderstorm development with this. The question is, how strong will it be at this point? Let's compare the models of this time. Again, convection looking a little bit different on all the different models. The HRW, you can see showing in western Indiana. It's actually showing storms developing more in eastern Illinois, western Indiana around 6 p.m. So but the thing is, the difference here is you can see that the HRW is playing it further east. The NAM is playing it further west. Now, I think both sides are playing it a little bit in the wrong location. Again, compare it to the GFS. You see the GFS really focuses it more towards eastern Illinois, as well as the Euro plays it out towards central Illinois, but also some storms developing in parts of Indiana as well. My target area is really going to be this general location right here. Okay, I think that's going to be the best place for convective development associated with these storms. You can see the RFS doesn't really put out too much yet, but if we go a little bit further into the time frame, that's the NAM 3K. Did not mean to do that, but let's go to the RFSA real quick and see kind of what it has to say. It's not fully loaded in for the time period yet, but we're going to back it up to 12Z because that's the latest model run. So let's go to Wednesday 0Z RFSA. We don't really have a further update than that, but that's a bummer. But we'll check on that once the newer models come in. But I really think that the storms are going to initiate kind of in this general region here. And I mean, even if they initiate further to the west, there's still good road network out here to pursue these storms. So chasing will occur. I will be chasing with Drew Brummel, a fellow Michigan storm chaser, who will be accompanying me out towards eastern Illinois. And I do believe that there are a couple other Michigan storm chasers heading out that direction too. So there's going to be a lot of people out chasing this event. It's going to be a pretty well covered event by the local chasers in the area. And good thing too, it's not really common for something like this to happen at the end of February. So again, watching all the different models, I want to get a look at the severe weather dynamics real quick. You can get a look at the surface-based CAPE because that's going to play a key role, how much CAPE we have with the storms that do wind up developing. And you can see that CAPE values, again, we should back it up probably to 22Z. You can get a look. There is some good CAPE, particularly out in portions of central Illinois. The RFS showing CAPE values up to 3,000. This area right here showing good instability associated with the system coming in. So that's kind of why the target area is this region here, because there's a good focus of CAPE. The NAM plays it further to the west. I really think it's not going to be that far west. I think it's going to shift further to the east. So keep that in mind. I really think that's playing it too far towards Iowa. So I think it's going to be this area that's going to kind of have the brunt of that. So lots on the table to look out for, but just keep in mind that there will be some thunderstorms going through at least northern Indiana and Illinois on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and then pushing into Ohio. We'll be out chasing. We'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, also on Michigan Storm Chasers and the Great Lakes Storm Chasing Network. We're going to be active in a lot of different places. Make sure to subscribe and stay updated. Pretty active event possibly coming on Tuesday, so stay tuned for the latest updates. I might try to do one more live stream of the what's to come on Monday. We'll have to see how that pans out, but hopefully this information here is helpful to you, and we'll try to get some more out as we go. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you all later.